What up, what up? Hope you're well. And welcome back to the channel, guys. And hope you've been well. I've been well. And in this new series of videos, I'm not going to do any editing because I'm kind of tired of editing, to be honest with you guys. So I just want to give you so much information because I have so much information for you guys. The last time that I did a video, I was in the country of Zimbabwe. But in today's video, I'm recording this video from the country of Tanzania. I'm in the capital, well, what used to be the capital of Tanzania. Now the capital of Tanzania has moved to a place called Dodoma, if you didn't know. And I've done a bunch of videos about Dodoma before, so please go watch those. Dodoma is a fantastic city, but I'm in Dar es Salaam right now. And the topic of this video is diversifying in business. When you're running an African business or a business here in Africa, the importance of diversifying. It doesn't matter how small your business is. You know, if you're making money here in Africa, you need to consider diversifying. As I'm recording this video, it is, today is November 3rd. November 3rd. And last month, October 29th, we had an election in this country. Like many other African countries that have had elections, we're expecting the best. And for a long time, a lot of you guys who are familiar with the Tanzanian, political situation or Tanzania as a country in general, you know that there's peace here. There's been peace here for a long time, ever since independence in, I think, 1961, we've had nothing but peace. And that's part of the reason why I chose to marry into this country. My wife is from this country. My kids go to school here. I am from Zimbabwe, which is a completely different country. We're 2 countries away from each other. So I love Tanzania so much. It's got so much to offer. The people here are amazing. The food here is amazing. This is why every time I come to Tanzania, I'm always glowing. Look at me, I'm glowing right now. But when I'm in the States or when I'm in Zimbabwe, I'm struggling out there because the food is not so good. Especially the food in America. It sucks now. The food in America used to be good, but now it's not good. It's not good. Yeah, so we're in a new world order now. And ever since the election in October 29th, today is November 3rd, like I said, a lot has been revealed about the true feelings of the Tanzanian people. The Tanzanian people have said that they're angry. Not angry at me, no. They're angry at the people that are in power. But the purpose of my videos is to focus only on business. I always say to people that I talk to that I don't care about what the government is in whatever place that I'm doing business. I don't care. All I care about is there an opportunity for me to make money? Because as somebody that has lived in the United States for 25 years, the United States has always been looked at as this perfect place for you to go do business. But as you can see, things are not so good over there either, politically and economically. What I'm trying to say is this: no place is perfect. My own country of Zimbabwe has had a history of instability politically, and that affected the economy as well. So when I look at my country where I was born, when I look at this country, Tanzania, that I love so much, and I look at the United States where I lived for 25 years, then I also look at the neighboring countries like Kenya. I love going to Kenya, by the way. Shout out to Kenyans. There is no perfect government. The Kenyans are complaining about their government. The Zimbabweans have been complaining about the government for a long time. The Americans are complaining about the government for a long time. Everybody complains. Every single country that I've been to, even I'm sure like the Emiratis, as much as Dubai is a great place to do business now, I'm sure the people, if I go over there, the people are going to be complaining about what's going on over there too. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is that we're now in a new world order. If you guys are into economics, or if you know a guy called Ray Dalio, he wrote a book about the New World Order, I think. He talks about it on his YouTube channel. Just go look up Ray Dalio. And he talks about business cycles. And in these business cycles, he's talking about how when an empire is on the rise and it's on the decline, how that affects, society, and how that affects the government and all this stuff. What I've come to learn from my experience in business, both in the United States and exploring business here in Africa, is that you cannot rely on the government for making money like that. If you're still in the mindset that a lot of people were 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, even 5 years ago before, the pandemic, if you're still in the mindset where you're depending on the government to fix your problems, you already lost the game. You already lost the game. There are people in the United States that went there, say 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, for a better quality of life, right? Maybe they went there as refugees. And I used to hang out with some of these people. And in the early years, they would complain about, I remember when I was coming up, one of the biggest complaints was, making sure you get your papers. Getting your papers was a big deal. Because if you can get your papers, that means you can get a job. If you can get a job, you can pay your rent, you can eat. So the focus of everybody was, you got to get your papers, you got to get your papers. And after you get your papers, life is going to be sweet. It meant that you could apply for government assistance programs, like Section 8s. You could apply for food stamps, and all these other, government handouts. So coming from a war-torn country, let's say if you're coming from, Rwanda back in the 90s. We know how Rwanda was in the 90s. It's a fantastic place now. I love Rwanda. In fact, I look forward to going to Rwanda every single time. And it's not for the ladies. No, that's not it. Although the ladies are beautiful there. I'm not dissing Rwandans. Rwandan ladies are beautiful. But I'm not going there for the ladies. I'm going there for the culture, because it's a clean place now. It's beautiful. And it's very organized. So I always want to learn what the Rwandans are doing so that I can implement those ideas here in Tanzania, or in my country of Zimbabwe, or even any other country that I choose to diversify my businesses in. When you're coming from a war-torn country like that, maybe let's say Congo, whatever, Somalia, you name it, and you have the ability to go to the United States and get free government handouts, you're going to be very excited. But that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous because when you get comfortable in these government programs, they don't last forever. And if you get too accustomed to these handouts, then you won't be able to develop survival skills. So the entire time that I lived in the United States, full-time, I don't live there full-time anymore because that place is very expensive now. And the opportunities there are not as great as they were when I first went there 25 years ago. But now, things are not as good. Let's put it that way. I would even say, when it comes to opportunity, if you are, starting on a small budget, anywhere from $5,000, $10,000, and you need to start a new business, Africa is the place to be right now. There's no place like it. There's no place like it. This is why all the Chinese are coming over here. The Turkish people are completely taking over certain businesses here in Tanzania. The Chinese have always been like coming. When I first started coming to Tanzania close to 4 years ago, I used to, travel to different cities. I've been to the cities up north. The second largest city in Tanzania is called Mwanza. And then I've been to Dodoma and a couple other cities. I remember only 4 years ago, there weren't too many people traveling to all these places like Dodoma and Mwanza, whatever. So when I would stay in these hotels, it would just be a bunch of Chinese. It would be me, some random Zimbabwean who doesn't speak the language, and they'll think I speak Swahili. So that's pretty much how I got to learn it. And it was just me and a bunch of Chinese guys. I didn't see anybody else. Even Black Americans were not coming here at the time when I first started coming here. It wasn't until, a couple of YouTubers and of course the pandemic and Magufuli, started pushing back on the lockdowns that everybody discovered about Tanzania, and a lot of Black Americans started flocking here. Now, if you come to Tanzania, there's nothing but a bunch of Americans here now. And thanks to all of that, there's so many Americans that are going to Kenya because it's easier than ever for an American to transition from the United States to a country like Kenya because they speak English over there versus Tanzania. It's very hard to transition into a country like Tanzania. Very difficult. This is not alcohol. This is juice, by the way. I don't drink. All I do is apply pressure. Anyway, I got plenty of stories like this. Africa is changing. And the people that have discovered that Africa is changing earlier than everybody else, earlier than the Europeans, earlier than the Americans, were the Chinese. And everybody else is trying to flood in. But there's still opportunities. Just because the Chinese came early and then they're able to dominate certain industries does not mean you cannot still come in to Africa and find your own niche and dominate. Because what the Chinese are doing, let me tell you what the Chinese are doing here. When they come into a country like Tanzania or go to Zimbabwe, they're not going for the high-end luxury premium sectors of the economy. They're just focusing on just the regular people. One of the malls that I went to when I was in Zimbabwe is a Chinese mall. It was built by the Chinese. I forgot what the name is. I used to go to a gym over there a few months ago. And the quality of that mall is horrible. It's horrific. It's terrible. But there's also another mall, a smaller one, that was built, I think, by the South Africans or maybe some Germans, I don't know, who built it. But it's luxurious, it's beautiful, it's pretty. And I like going to that mall better than the Chinese mall. Even though the Chinese mall is bigger, it's got so much stuff, I prefer to go to a smaller mall that's more luxurious in quality. The Chinese are not exploiting the quality aspect of it. They're still focused on the very basic, They're only offering the quality services more to the Europeans and the Americans and maybe the Australians. They're offering that. But the market is wide open for the high-end, supply. The high-end, let's call them high-end sellers, vendors, whatever you want to call it. So this is where the South Africans have seen an opportunity now. And this is where, if you're considering doing business here in Africa, you need to consider what the South Africans are doing. When you look at a country like Zimbabwe, Zambia, and I've been to Zambia, I passed through Zambia when I was coming here to Tanzania, because Zimbabwe and Tanzania are just one country away from each other, and Zambia is in between Zimbabwe and Tanzania. So I was able to pass through Zambia because I wanted to see what Zambia was like. I've never been to Zambia. And Zambia is a beautiful country, by the way. Oh my goodness, so beautiful. I thought my country was beautiful. Zambia is beautiful too. And the roads are excellent now. If you've never been out of your country, if you're from, let's say, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and you have a passport, please travel. Take a bus. I don't care what you do. Just start traveling across Africa. I know, like, going through borders is going to be a challenge, but just do it. Just the experience of going to a different country, you're going to learn a lot. So what I notice is the South Africans have completely dominated when it comes to products and services. They always go for the high end. The grocery stores over there in the supermarkets, they call them, in Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, more the English-speaking, countries in the south of Africa. If you go to the grocery stores, the supermarkets, they're completely dominated by South African brands. So candy brands, wine brands, cookies, like every single high-end luxury brand in a lot of these supermarkets is, I'll say, 80 to 90% South African. Because the South Africans have figured out that even though we're making our money in South Africa, and they're making good money in South Africa, just pick a South African brand, they're making good money over there in South Africa, they figured they can still make money in these other Southern African countries like Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, and all these places. So they figured out a way to diversify. Unfortunately, I've not seen too many Botswanan businesses diversifying, and for probably a couple of reasons. They don't have too many, manufacturing. The manufacturing base in Botswana is probably not that big. Even in Namibia, it's not that big. Zimbabwe, we don't have a manufacturing base over there, so we depend a lot on imports and imported goods. But one thing the South Africans are excellent at is branding. They're excellent at branding. When I need anything of high quality, first thing I think about is, where's the South African brand? And also, there are several supermarket chains here in Africa. At least I'm speaking in the South, okay? I don't know so much in the North Africa part or West Africa. I'm not an expert in those regions, but I am an expert in East Africa and Southern Africa. I'm an expert there, so I know exactly what's going on. So if you're choosing to do business in the southern portion of Africa, the English-speaking Africa, East Africa, the English-speaking Africa, including Tanzania, I'm your guy. We can talk, schedule time. We'll talk about how to help you out with anything you need, research, you name it. Because there's certain things you can't get on ChatGPT. You got to be either on the ground, send somebody that you trust on the ground to do your research for you so that they can figure out what's going on. The big opportunity here in Africa right now is to brand like the South Africans are branding. There's a bunch of these grocery store chains, supermarkets. Pick and Pay is my favorite now. But also, let me speak with the market that I really know really well, which is Zimbabwe. And it's very similar to Botswana and Zambia and all these places. Zimbabwe also have their own local grocery stores. But their own local grocery stores that are owned by the Zimbabweans, they can barely compete with the South African chains that are based in Zimbabwe. They have a hard time competing with the South African grocery store chains. Very hard time. And I think obviously a lot of that has to do with poor management, because the South Africans have better management. They pay their people better. I remember when I went to the 2 grocery stores, let me call them supermarkets, over there in the capital of Zimbabwe, called Harare. I went to the Pick and Pay, which is owned by the South Africans, I believe. And then I went to the local one, the same size, owned by, I think, Zimbabwean, owners. I noticed the employees completely different. The employees in the South African one were highly educated, probably went to some of the best schools in Zimbabwe. They're very organized. So that means they focus on recruiting the best in the country. Meanwhile, the locally owned one, they don't focus on recruiting the best at all. And that's part of the branding I'm talking about. Because if you have good staff that are well trained, and also when it comes to training, you have to diversify too. You can't just have your people not know what else, what the standards are like. Maybe that same person that's managing your store, maybe send them over there to South Africa, or maybe send them over to Mauritius, send them over to India, Dubai. Even if it's for maybe 6 months, get some exposure so they can come back and be able to deliver. This is some of the diversification that you need to consider when you're getting into business here in Africa. Don't just hire just for the sake of hiring. It doesn't make any sense the way I'm seeing people doing businesses. This is how you're not able to compete, in the long term. Because business, when you're getting into business, think about your business, being like a long game. And I'm going to cover, short-term thinking and long-term thinking in a separate video when it comes to doing business here in Africa. But when things go belly up in a country like Tanzania, which it did in the past couple of days, as of recording this video, the president of Tanzania just announced that we can get back to business as usual. But can you imagine for the last 3.5 days, we've had no internet here? Because when there's political chaos, they will, shut down the internet. And I'm sure some African countries, they do the same thing. I think Kenya, they did that before. I'm not sure. They go gangster with it. Because they know if you don't do that, people can behave like wild animals out here. So they shut down the internet. So I have no access to WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. The only information I'm getting access to is by going out there or people calling me and giving me information. That's how I know what's going on out there. There's mass chaos in the streets of Dar es Salaam, in the streets of Mwanza, in the streets of Arusha. Maybe not Arusha because they love peace over there. In the streets of Mbeya, because Tanzania is a big country. 68 million people in this country. It's not a small country. There's so many people. If you don't have access to internet and everything is shut down, and you're only doing all your business here in Tanzania, how are you going to survive? There's some businesses that cannot go even a single day without, operations. If your business cannot survive, let's say a month, maybe not a month. If your business cannot survive even a week without being operational, and you have to lay off your staff after 1 week, you need to consider diversifying to a different country. Because if things shut down here in Tanzania like they did over the last 3.5 years, and you have another operation over there in Kenya, which is a neighboring country, you can offset the losses you're making here over those couple of days or week. Because just being offline for like 3.5 days, it's going to take you maybe a month to recover from those losses, from those three days, whatever it is. So you might be taking losses maybe for another 2-3 months just to catch up for 3 days of losses. But if you have another operation like the South Africans do, I know for sure if the economy of Zimbabwe, for example, suffers or struggles for even a year, that Pick and Pay that is owned by the South Africans, the supermarket, will be able to maintain the quality in that entire year, because those losses are going to be offset by the South African stores. So that when the economy picks back again after that 1 year of the downturn, they don't have to play catch up anymore. There's something I've noticed about life, and this also applies to business. Everything is all about momentum. I've noticed ever since I slowed down on this YouTube channel, there's so many things that have been happening in my life. I have a family, and I have a lot of things to take care of. And this is not the only YouTube channel that I have. I have 2 other YouTube channels. This is the side hustle for me. But now that I'm in Africa, this is now full-time. I'm going all in. It's because I diversify my sources of income. I can't just, this is the other thing, is like, there's so many YouTubers that I see that have more subscribers than me, that probably started right around the same time as I did. I know for sure if they lose their YouTube channel, they're done. They're done, they're finished. I don't name any names, but I know for sure, as soon as they lose their YouTube channel, it's game over for their ass. It's game over. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. Very dangerous. Because if you were to lose that YouTube channel that's monetized and that's your only source of income, and you got nothing else that you're doing on the side, or maybe you don't have any other YouTube channels that you're building. There's a reason why other YouTube channels, content creators, have multiple channels now. If you ever noticed, they'll call themselves, whatever, let's say the name is Mo, right? They'll have Mo Channel 2. Why are they doing that? Because they know you need a backup for everything. In life, you need plan A, B, and C. Not just plan A. Because things could go south really quickly. Who knew? This peace-loving country of Tanzania will plunge into chaos like it did. Who knew? I didn't know that. When I was busy getting married over here, I didn't know. There's something that's called chuki. This is a word I learned here in Tanzania. It's called chuki. If you speak Swahili, you're going to know it. It's going to make you laugh. Chuki is hate. So the things that I learned, it's amazing. Let me make sure my audio is good here. All right, audio is good. All right, perfect. Chuki is a word that I learned from a boat driver. So my wife and I took a boat. We were trying to go somewhere, and we were just talking, and the guy pretty much, I think he was projecting. He was low-key projecting. He thinks I'm stupid out here. He basically told me like, hey, Tanzanians have got chuki. Tanzanians have got hate. I don't believe that. Tanzanians don't have hate. Human beings have hate. It's not a Tanzanian thing. We can't isolate that just to one people. Because a lot of people are like that. There's Zimbabweans that have chuki, there are Kenyans that have chuki, Somalis that have chuki, Americans that have chuki, Chinese that have chuki. It's a human being problem. What I'm saying is this. We had no idea that this country had reached a boiling point until last week. To this date, I don't know how many people have died. All we can do is pray for those people that have lost their lives. All we can do is pray for their families, their loved ones. Because there's somebody that has a family, I cannot imagine having to deal with all of that. I'm truly blessed to be alive, to be in good health. My family is in good health. I'm truly blessed. But a lot of people don't have that. What we have to do as an African people is to stick together. We can't be on social media talking crap about each other, because that's what happens. I'm sure that's what's probably happening right now. People are busy talking crap about each other, adding more Chuki into the mix. We don't need to do that. Instead, what we need to be doing as an African people, we need to be sharing information. There's so many people that are in Zimbabwe right now that are hitting me up. They know that I married into Tanzania. They're asking me, hey, we know a bunch of people can get cars through the Tanzanian port, the Dar es Salaam port now. Do you have a plug? I'm like, yeah, I am the plug for everything, dog. But I charge, though. Ain't nothing for free out here. I'm going to charge you. By the way, if you're going to schedule time, I'll put a link in the description of this video. If you're ready to do business, if you're ready to diversify your business, if you're ready to start a business here in Africa, like I said, in Eastern Africa, Southern Africa there, I'm your guy. I'm an expert. I know what's going on in these regions. I know how to navigate. And if you need to know how to, diversify your business, maybe you're only doing business in Zimbabwe, maybe you're only doing business in Zambia, and you need to diversify. I promise you, if you're new to business and you're young, and you're relatively young, and things are good right now, and you're only operating, let's say, in Zambia, and you think Zambia is going to be peaceful forever, you got another thing coming, my friend. Some of us are in the 40s now. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, Zimbabwe was an amazing place, incredible place. It was like Rwanda now. That's what Zimbabwe used to look like. Beautiful place. Everything was working. People were making money. I remember people that only did business in Zimbabwe, they were millionaires. As soon as things went belly up over there, they lost everything. This new world order, guys, requires us to share information thanks to social media, thanks to YouTube. We need to be sharing information, because what's working here in Tanzania can also work in Zambia, can also work in Zimbabwe. Hell, can also work in South Africa. Just because South Africa is a more advanced economy than Tanzania or Zimbabwe does not mean some of the ideas some of the things that are working here cannot work there, because they can. So instead of us talking crap on social media, let's start sharing information. I'll share one piece of information that I had. It's more like an idea. I was going to this gym, the Chinese gym that I mentioned earlier, at the Chinese mall. It's not a Chinese gym. It's owned by a Zimbabwean, but it's in a Chinese mall. The mall is terrible, but the gym, people are good. And there was a guy who was selling fruit. As soon as I got out the gym, I would buy my bananas, and I'll buy my fruit over there. Bananas, I think he sold bananas, oranges, and something else. So there isn't too much variety. So as soon as he discovered that I was Zimbabwean, he was very surprised. Like, oh, you're Zimbabwean? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm Zimbabwean. I just haven't lived here for so long. But, I'm Zimbabwean. So he's like, man, we got into a conversation, and he started telling me about how he wants to make more money. And I said, well, why don't you start with what you already have? You're selling fruit, aren't you? Did you know that selling fresh juice in Tanzania is big business over there. So instead of you selling fruit for $1, consider getting a blender, hook it up with a little battery thing, and set up a little table, blend that fruit, get a bunch of disposable cups, and sell fresh juice for like $2. You doubled your money by adding value. That's what we call adding value. The guy was like, oh, wow, that's a good idea. To me, it seems obvious because I drink fresh juice every day here in Tanzania. Every day. That's why I'm glowing, by the way. That's why I'm glowy. You can call me glowy. By the way, this is why I love Tanzania. Listen, guys. Just because we're going through what we're going through here in Tanzania, please come to Tanzania. Do not give up on Tanzania. We love this place. And Tanzania loves you guys. Come to Tanzania. Come do your shopping here. Come buy your stuff over here. I'm your plug. I got you. I got you. Anything you need here in Tanzania, you're in Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, I got you. We've got the largest port here in East Africa. You know, this too shall pass. Let's just pray about it. Let's pray for peace. This too shall pass. So yeah, I'm used to just buying fresh juice everywhere I go. And fruit is abundant over here. The food is incredible. There's so much food here. So, but to him, he was like, oh, that's such a cool idea. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Because to me, it's obvious. But to him, he's never seen it. By the way, that's the other thing. When you travel, you get exposed to so many cool things like this. I hope he took that idea to start selling juice. But you know, most people don't listen. It doesn't matter how much advice you give people. Most people don't listen anyway. So this is why I only, like when you deal with me, guys, and some of you guys have scheduled time with me, I want to make it very clear. This is a paid consultation. That means that when you talk to me, you better ready to pay some money. I'm going to figure out a way to collect money in crypto because it's going to be a bunch of people from different countries. If you're in the States, you can pay me through Cash App, or I'll set up a way for you to pay me using your card or whatever. So you pay me that way. But if you're not in the States, let's say you're in the UK or Australia, Dubai, consider crypto. I'm going to figure out a way to put my crypto somewhere, or schedule time first. How about this? Schedule time first. We'll get on a video call, and then you can pay me through crypto. I'm going to give you so much game. Or you can just do everything yourself. So you think you're smart enough. You do everything yourself. Waste a lot of time. That's completely okay too. Either way, I know you can't get the information that I have just by trying to go on ChatGPT. It's not gonna work. Plus, you're gonna waste a lot of time. The benefit of paying for consultation is that you're gonna get a lot of game, you're gonna get a lot of wisdom, and you won't be wasting time. There's a lot of people that love to waste time. Please do not schedule time if you want to waste my time, because I'll never waste your time. I'm here to elevate you guys. I'm here to help you elevate your game. Because there's so many of you that are starting to make good money. I've seen a lot of guys in Harare over there that are pushing big cars. Don't get comfortable now. Don't get comfortable. I'll keep it real. I'm 43. I've seen guys who are in their 30s, right? They're making good money, but they've never seen the hard life like that. Guys in their like mid-20s, late 20s there, they're starting to make new money. They have no idea what hard times are until the hard times come, because things will switch up on you. If you're making serious money in one country, you better start considering diversifying. Whether it's Botswana, Namibia, do that. But I'll tell you right now, if you want to consider diversifying and make some real paper, you come to East Africa. Kenya, Tanzania, what else? Uganda there. I'm the plug. I know people in all those places. Rwanda is kind of small for me, to be honest. If I was to advise, I love Rwanda. I would advise you consider countries that have a population of at least 20 million. Because that's where you make some real money. Okay? At least 20 million. Of course, unless if you're gonna do like the Botswana there or Namibia with smaller populations, 3-4 million, whatever, you better know somebody. You better know how to corner the market. But to me, I like big markets. Like I said, Tanzania is 68 million. Kenya, I think we're looking at 55 million. Uganda, that's what, 50 million? If you combine Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, and let's say Zambia, just those 4 countries, or just these 3 countries, you're looking at 150 million people. That's a lot of people. You can become a millionaire overnight like that. And when I say overnight, I'm talking about 2-3 years. So when you diversify in those 3 countries, it doesn't matter what happens to your country in 5 years. Because we thought there was peace here in Tanzania. That's what I thought. Apparently people had chuki out here. Word of the day, chuki. All right, guys. Schedule time if you're ready to work with the best. You're ready to diversify your business outside of your country. And you're ready to explore new markets. Let's talk about it. And talk to you soon. Link in the description of this video. Talk to you soon. Bless up.